Hi there, folks, and welcome back to C64 Sunday. I'm Zerfall. It's been a while since we've had a C64 Sunday, and it's time to get back into it. I've been listening to a retro podcast called Sprite Castle, and it's really inspired me to get back into this. Plus, I've had some comments from various people requesting more C64, so let's do it. We're skipping ahead to number 38 because I'm going to take this list a bit of a different way. Some of the games don't make quite as much sense to play in the order that they are in the top 100 list from the bottom up, and I feel like that's one of the reasons, among just procrastination, that I haven't been playing C64 games as much, because I feel like, I shouldn't play Bard's Tale. Like, I played Bard's Tale 2, and I really should have played 1, 2, then 3, because it makes more sense to see the progression of the game, even though 2 is the lowest ranked out of all of them in the top 100. There's other games like that too, and so we're going to start just jumping around the list. They'll end up in the probably right order from 100 to 1 in the playlist in the end, but for now, we're going to just jump around and play games when we feel like it, because it'll get things done quicker. So, on to the game. As with most Remember things, they should load us up here a little bit of the documents here. What happened? One night, while little Giana and Milano were fast asleep. Oh, from Milano. I'm making a dingus of myself here. One night when little Giana from Milano was fast asleep, she had a strange dream. Everybody dreams weird things at night, but no one will have experienced situations like little Giana is about to. Giana suddenly finds herself in a strange, mysterious world where everything is completely different. Gravity has almost disappeared. Sometimes one feels like flying away, and everywhere there are unexplainable buildings and structures. Old grottos and deserted castles seem to hide lots of secrets, and frightening and hideous creatures appear. This wouldn't be too bad, except for Giana can't leave this world unless she finds the magic huge diamond. So, she starts searching for this wonderful jewel. However, she's not totally alone, for her little sister, Maria, can dream too. To start dreaming, press 1 or 2 for 1 or 2 players. If 2-player option is chosen, Giana and Maria can play by turns. The change will be made every time one of the sisters has an especially bad dream. So you don't die, you just have an especially bad dream. Okay, so there's 33 stages we're going to have to go through and try to get to the last diamond. You can walk and jump everywhere, but beware, holes, beds of nails, and fire can be quite dangerous. But the sisters can't try everything can't try everything as many times as they'd like to. If one of the sisters has 5 extremely bad dreams, Giana is condemned to spend the rest of her life in the neighborhood of crazy lobsters, dancing eyes, and neurotic appendices. Anyways, let's get we can raise our stamina and to get extra lives by collecting the regular blue dream crystals, which is like coins. We're going to talk about this a little bit in here. We can get a fire wheel. The dear, braved, well-behaved Giana changes into a small punk. Suddenly, she can smash up stones. If we get the lightning power-up, Giana and Maria can throw dream bubbles. Double lightning, they'll start bouncing off obstacles and can be caught again. Strawberries, with energy from this good fruit, the dream bubbles will take a completely different route. And the clock, when you press the spacebar after collecting the clock, all creatures will fall into a magic sleep for a short period. Magic bombs, after pressing the spacebar, the super dream bubble makes all creatures on the screen vanish. Save it for later. Oh, they know how you play video games. You always save your best item for later. The water drop makes Giana totally wet, but against fire, it's extremely useful. And the lolly, you can now dream for longer. In other words, you have an extra life. All the features have been collected with the help of bonus symbols will be lost during an especially bad dream. Tips and tricks for dreaming. Level 32, the straight road is not always the right one. Not everything is visible. It is said that there should be very well hidden magic chambers. Not all creatures can be threatened by dream bubbles. The big unlucky dragon Fuka cannot stand a reasonable amount of dream bubbles. So if you shoot the bosses at the end of levels enough with a dream bubble, they will eventually die, which is, the end bosses can be pretty hard in some of these levels, if I recall correctly. Have you ever jumped on a neurotic eye? Have you ever played football with a flattened shell? It cannot be said that thin bridges are especially stable. So as soon as game over happens, yeah, we'll see a list of today's best streamers and also the best daydreamers of all time. So shift lock will pause the game, restore will quit back to the menu, and that is about it. So let's get on to this game by hitting run stop. So one of the interesting things about this game is it came out in 1987, I believe. It just told us. And it was developed by Time Warp Productions. We're going to go with the high score, and we're going to load the high score. Time Warp Productions, and it was published by Rainbow Arts. Now, the coder... Oh, it's showing some of the stuff at the top here. The coder was Armin Gessert, which he played or created such games as... or not created, but programmed Street Gangs and Around the World in 80 Days, also for the C64. I don't know where he's gone since then. I'm just looking at the Lemon 64 list of things with him in the credits. The graphics were by Manfred Trenz, and he also did the game Enforcer Full Metal Mega Blaster, which we played earlier in the list, as well as Turrican 2. So he had quite the pedigree behind him there, although those are the only games listed. Oh, he did Turrican as well. But those 3 games are the only 3 games listed other than the Great Giana Sisters. Or Giana Sisters. I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced. The music was by Chris, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong because I don't know how the accents over certain vowels work, but Holzbeck. And he had quite a prolific career in music, and you can hear that this music is pretty good. It's memorable music. A lot of people remember this from back in the day. He did some games that you might not have heard of, like... Well, I don't know how much you might have heard of games, but I haven't heard of Grand Monster Slam. He's also did Hard and Heavy, Danger Freak, Crush, Bad Cat, Bug Bomber, Starball. A lot of these things were from Rainbow Arts, but also from Epic's Street Cat. Star Trash was another Rainbow Arts game. And he worked on the music for the original Turrican. Another interesting one that he did the music for is Hollywood Poker Pro, which was released in 1989 by Redline Software, and it seems to be a strip poker game. So, you take the money where you can get it. Back in the day, programming didn't pay that well, so you had to do what you had to do to get it. So one of the interesting things about this game is that, I mean, the only copy of this game I owned as a kid, or owned, but had, was the version where everything was changed to look like Mario, which was interesting because there was actually a sort of urban legend. There we go, we're a punk now, we can smash the bricks. There was an urban legend because the game sort of disappeared from the stores and they stopped publishing it, that Nintendo had in fact started a lawsuit and they didn't want to lose the lawsuit. This should make things a little easier. And had the game pulled from the shelves, but Nintendo didn't actually make a lawsuit. They did likely have a pretty good influence in having the game pulled from the shelves, but they sort of... They strong-armed them a bit, but they were pretty much like, hey, come on, everyone's gonna... everyone's gonna realize that this is a copy of, like, a knockoff of our game. They realized they probably would lose a lawsuit if there was one in the long run, so they just chose to voluntarily discontinue the game. It's made the game a little bit more sought after because a lot of people have good memories of the game and would like to own a copy of the game, but it's harder to get because it got pulled after such a short period of time. And you'll see that the first couple levels, they're shorter, but they're very similar to the first couple levels in Super Mario Brothers. So, but the monsters do act differently. Like, I think those guys do something? No, I thought maybe eyeballs did something. But we're going to use the same trick that one would probably use in Mario here to just bypass most of this level and get the maximum time bonus possible. Unless this has lightning in it. Yes. Okay, now we're going to do it. But, you know, the first few levels are reminiscent of Mario. They get very different in the end, and But when I was a kid, I honestly thought that we had, this was the version of Mario for the C64, even though when you played it, it was completely different. Being only probably 5 at the time is a pretty good excuse for not being as worldly as one might expect. Oh, gotta watch out for that. But it does let us get up here. So see, there are actually some things in this that are sort of, I guess you could call them improvements over Mario. But there's a double lightning bolt. What does it mean? At the same time, they ended up canceling the game, and the sequel of the game never ended up coming out. I remember being relatively good at this game when I was a kid, but I'm actually not that great at the game anymore, and I think these are one of the monsters that you can't kill with these things. So, will we be able to jump over him? Is this high enough? Maybe. Okay, I think we gotta hit when he's down and then jump. Yes! Okay. So, don't expect super pro gameplay out of me here, but I think we'll do reasonably okay. And you can see we have the bounce for our thing now. Alright. Now, the one thing about this game that's a little... Oh, I ran out of time! Holy crap! The one thing about this game is that the platforming isn't quite as tight as Mario. They say, oh, the gravity is lower and stuff. I think that's their excuse for it, but man, we should have been able to beat this level with tons of time to spare. I just spent too much time talking about stuff. Jeez, that was the worst timing for that jump, but it still worked. But, you know, maybe adding that whole, oh yeah, things are super floaty into the story is just to cover up for the fact that the code isn't necessarily best for the platforming. I really don't like really floaty platformers anymore. At the time, I thought it was a really good game. But just, it makes it hard sometimes when you're making your jump. Sometimes it makes it easier. There's a little bit more control in the air for slowing down and turning around. And you can really turbo it up. You can only have one ball at the screen at a time, but if you manage to not make that jump. Jeez, it's gonna be one of these type of things. If you can manage to get near a wall, you can really turbo style it, which might be helpful on bosses. Let's just bypass them. Alright. I don't know if this is a maze version of this thing, but I'm going to assume that we should go the way that the bad guy is every time. Oh, come on! Oh, don't tell me I'm game over. Alright, last life. Jeez. I might not even make it to the... I'm going this way this time. I might not even make it to the first boss here. We're going to have to play twice. Okay. Oh man, and now we're not going to have the... Okay, not so bad this time. You can kill those things. First boss was an ant. Luckily it wasn't too angry and we got by. I remember those being a pain in the butt when I was a kid. You also have to be very careful about the collision here. The collision detection, I mean, it's good for what it is, but you can easily hit the top corner of an enemy and die. And I've actually tried to fall off of a brick to kill an enemy before, and it backfired quite a bit. Darn bees. Alright. Oh jeez. Okay, end of level. See, there's many more stages, but they're much shorter. I can't remember if it's always a good idea to go up top on these. There are warps and magic rooms in this too, but I actually don't have the knowledge like I have in Mario Brothers for getting them all. I kind of want to get down in there though. Now that that guy's gone. Dodge the fire. See if we line that up. Oh, there we go. Just killed himself. Alright, we're out of this level already. I don't know how I managed to get time out in that other level. It seems like there's always tons of extra time left over. I can't quite get high enough to shoot him. Him. There we go. Oh, we can't jump through that, but can we? Probably. Ah! I shouldn't have got greedy. Oh well. Let's put our name in here. Oh, Zerf. No capitals. Made it stage 7. Hey, I made it to the top of the bottom of the high score. Greatest of all time under Marcus, Michael, Chris, and Gregor. You know what? I'm gonna give this another try. So, I should have talked about the reception this game received. All Game apparently has given this 4 out of 5 stars. I'm not sure what All Game is. zzap64 gave it 96%. I mean, this game got really good reviews at the time. It was considered a very good game. I believe... Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention was the box art, which I'm pretty sure says that zzap64... There's 2 versions of the box art. There's one that's got a sexy version, for some reason, of Giana, which to me makes almost no sense. She's supposed to be a little girl that's dreaming she has a bow when she's first in it, but on the box art it's this woman with a t-shirt on and a skirt, and the red and I mean, she's clearly wearing pants here, not a skirt, and she's clearly not wearing a bra, and she's kind of well endowed, which is kind of not the sort of thing that they seem to have been going for with these girls. So it's kind of weird. It does have the monsters in the background floating around and stuff. But then there's a different version from Rainbow Arts that has a picture of them where Giana and her sister are kind of punks. Giana doesn't look nearly as punky as her sister, but her sister's got like a mohawk and really heavy punk makeup on, I guess you could say. But the weird thing about it is that it says there's some graffiti that has a peace symbol. It says "We Heart Giana," and then there is some more graffiti that says the brothers. The brothers are what? Let's see. See if I can get this a little bit bigger for me to read. The brothers are history, so they're clearly trying to. I mean, that's probably why. And this is probably why I had time out on the last time I had time out was from talking and not paying attention to what's going on here. So we're going to use the shortcut again. That's probably why the lawsuit seemed so likely to have happened, and that they so easily chose to no longer to not fight that, because it's clear they were going for a Mario Brothers clone, but better. I just think it's weird that they have one version of the game art that just has a sexy version of Giana on it. It really doesn't make sense. I think I'm gonna go for like a quick run this time, see how quickly I can get my butt through these levels, make it as far as possible here. It's interesting how many of these require the maximum level of your jump to make the jump. It makes the timing rather interesting sometimes. Oh, no, no! Ah, see, the problem is, too, speaking of controls, speaking of why I'm dying, and a pretty good excuse for it, I guess. When you... One of the things that's better in Mario is that you can take an extra hit once you're big. The jump button in this game is up, and I could have probably changed my controller to make the jump button a face button on my control pad, but right now I'm using the D-pad. I don't have an actual joystick hooked up right now. And sometimes you just start jumping by mistake, because if you hit it on an angle, you're going to be jumping. Which is one of the things that was always a little bit better about platformers on the Commodores or on the Nintendo over the Commodores, that often the jump button was a separate button on the NES, made it a lot easier to play like that. Whereas having the jump button being up, especially with a joystick, sometimes made it harder. I guess it's even worse with a D-pad than a joystick, but you know, you try to go left to right and you accidentally jump, and it happened all the time to all of us, and we all hated it, but it was something you put up with, and normally got used to after a while. So we shouldn't have too much problems here, as long as I'm smart enough to make the largest jumps possible on these things. Alright, if I recall correctly, we can just run in and jump and we should dodge him. There we go. Alright. I don't know that we actually have any more lives than we had last time here. Oh, I thought that was going to end up in our death. I do really wish that once you were powered up, though, you could, shoot, I can't remember for sure. Those are probably lobsters, so you probably can jump on them? Yeah. I just wasn't 100% sure, and I was a little bit scared to try. As much as I'm trying to go as quickly as possible, I also want to get some points here. Get enough of these coins, or, sorry, dream gems, and we'll be doing okay. Alright, we made it to this thing. That's an interesting little trap there. I didn't die to it either time, but that they put the, set it up so you'd have to dodge out. Alright, we're gonna use this little trick again. Oh, I can't remember. This might be a trap. No, okay. If I recalled correct, I thought there was one where if you go up top, it ends up... Yeah, see, if you go too far, you can get trapped. So now we have to just try to have the minimal amount of leftward momentum when we fall. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, this one, if you go all the way to the end, pretty close to trapping yourself and being able to get to the stage. You just gotta wait for a time up. Alright, let's just move along here. That gets rid of the bees. Oh geez, this is where I fell into the hole before, but... you know what? Who cares what's in those things? Oh my god, it worked! We have some stupid traps here. These ones aren't so stupid. There we go. They definitely have tiny bridges, which the instructions warned us about. Alright. Those bees seem so happy. Nice. Alright, we got the bonus life. And we're well on our way to beating the old score. Jeez, now we're getting this sort of platform. And these are the ones where you have to sort of jump a little slower than normal, because if you don't, when you hit your head, you go down really fast. I think our safest bet here is just to run. No, it did not work. Was not going fast enough. I bet you the safest bet is to run, but you have to do it something more like this. Nope! I'm a dingus. So a small hop, perhaps? At just the right time? Yes, because we don't want to have to deal with that turtle. Although apparently you can play football with a turtle shell. Alright, what do we got here? Oh, this would have been so good to have the... Alright. The ant seems pretty easy to get by each time. I believe it's the dragon that becomes a little harder. Oh, look, the little slinky monsters. Oh, thank God you fell in the hole. Oh, and there's fire. And of course we're gonna have to do this. Alright, it worked. Alright. Oh, I'm wet! Is that the case? I don't know why my hair is disappeared. I'm assuming that I'm wet, which might be a good thing. But that might not be the case. I'll just let this guy slink on out of here of his own accord. It's really interesting that the hair's the same color as the background. Clearly you would have seen this while you were playtesting. I kinda want to test to see if this works, but at the same time, I kinda don't. I also just want to prove that I could have done this without wet hair. Alright, I think I'm making up for my first first video here with these lives. Okay, so we gotta wait till it's on its way down the jump. There we go. Back down. To regular land. And we're not wet anymore, so I would assume that that's what that was. I would hope. I'm really not sure if you can kill these slinkies. It doesn't make sense that you could. They're... Oh, don't miss it! Alright. Because, like, they don't really have a top to land on. And when I was a kid, I used to just jam the fire button all the time, but clearly that's not necessarily your best bet. And I also used to go down there to try to get those prizes, but I feel like the risk is not worth the reward in this case. Oh yeah, these guys are invincible to this. So let's just ignore them. Footy controls almost got the best of me there. No! 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 I pushed jump again! Oh, what a... bit of a trick trap there. I thought I could handle it, but I was wrong. It's interesting too, because when you hit these things, they don't pop up, so like, there's not a, you can't kill these guys from below with it. Oh, jeez. Okay, on our last life, we barely got a bonus life in time actually from this batch here. But now we're okay. Alright. If we'd taken that a little slower last time, this wouldn't have happened. I panicked and jumped a little too high, a little too fast. Come on, give me a power up to start. No! It's interesting too because, unlike the NES, everything here, they have like various sizes of stuff. Like here's a tiny block. There's edges here, like if you go off the edge here, you can stand on the smaller part of that ledge. And of course that jump was 100% on purpose. There's no way that I accidentally did that. I'm concerned about that spike there. I don't know that it's not an actual spike. We're going to do this the slow fashion way. And I'm just going to avoid that because I do not trust it. Yeah, see? You can't walk through it. I don't trust to land on it. Alright, which way's the best way to go here? Probably the bottom, but... Yeah, take that B down. Oh, we're halfway to another life. Maybe we can pull that off. Aha! I must say I'm a little surprised that boulder didn't kill me. I think that you're just barely close enough. Time ran out! Oh. Alright, well, so much for the time being long enough in this game. Let's add our name and see how high we get. I think we're gonna just bump ourselves off. So no, we did bump ourselves, but we beat Gregor by quite a bit. So, anyways, this is the Great Giana Sisters. Like I said, Zap64 gave us a 96. It was definitely worth playing. Powerplay gave it an 80. ASM called it an ASM hit. Lemon64, it had 9 out of 10. And actually, if I pop up Photoshop here, I can look at my C64 game list and tell you that when it was at number 38, it was a score of 8.58. So the 9 out of 10 is either rounded up or it's from a different time period. The game currently has a score on Lemon64 of 8.6, so it hasn't changed by a whole lot since August of 2014 when it got locked in at rank 38, but it's definitely worth checking out. Play this game, download it. You can probably find the Mario version of it if you're interested in seeing what that was like. And there's also a new game in the franchise that came out. I don't know how it's not really that similar though, because you actually play as both sisters at the same time. Like you can change between the yellow-haired one and the red-headed one, and they have different types of moves and stuff. So they made a more interesting gameplay than a sort of Mario clone. I think this game was a little more interesting than the original Mario. If the controls were just a little tighter, it would have been pretty cool. But it's too bad that Nintendo decided that they needed to get them pulled from the market, because realistically, I don't know that they were necessarily in the same market. Yes, they were in the same video game industry, but I don't know that all that many people were buying, like, had a Nintendo and a Commodore 64 at the time. Some people probably did, but I think that their markets were vastly different, and it probably could have sustained both games. Either way, I'm Zerfall. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again on another Sunday.